read this thing, right? Is that what I read first?
Yes, every time.
Okay. This is a script for remotely conducted open meetings. New public participation guidelines. Members of the public wishing to participate in the meeting must use their full name or for Zoom access. Is that when am I reading the right one? This is the one I got.
I don't think you're reading the right one, Linda.
Yeah, that's the one I have.
Hang on one second. Let me find it.
This is the one you emailed me.
Well, I emailed you one last time we were together.
Yeah, it said updated remote script from town administration.
Do you want me to email it to you or do we just screen share it? Would that be easier?
Oh, just screen share it.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, as a preliminary matter, this is the Madaket Advisory Committee. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Brad? Everybody needs to unmute. Brad, you're on mute. I need everybody to respond when I call your name. Bruce? All right, there's Brad. Bruce?
Present.
Bob?
Present.
Tom?
Present.
I'll leave anybody else. Myself is here. That's 5 members are present. Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Kathy Flynn?
Present.
Okay, anticipated speakers on the agenda, please respond in the affirmative. I believe Steve Thoreau is here.
Yes, affirmative.
And Bonnie Harvey? I know the Harveys are here.
Yes.
Yes.
Haveries. Yes. Haveries.
Okay. What is it?
Havery.
Havery, that's right. I had the R in the wrong place.
That's okay.
Sorry about that, Bonnie.
That's okay.
Havery. Can't read my own writing. Introduction to remote meeting. Good morning, afternoon, evening. Good morning. This open meeting of the Madaket Advisory is being conducted remotely consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted with the agenda materials for this meeting, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. For this meeting of the MAB is convening by video conference via Zoom app as posted on the town's website identifying how the public may join. Please note that this meeting is being recorded, that all attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you and to take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All supporting materials that have been provided members of this body are available on the town website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. We are now turning to the first item on the agenda, the only item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. Chair will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes, since I'm taking the minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. Next page. Jeez. The members wish to engage in a conversation with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. After members have spoken, the chair will afford public comment as follows. Staff will activate the chat feature. YouTube, we don't need that here. Members of the public who have comments or questions, communicate with the public body. Instructions are on the Chair and staff will do their best to address the questions or comments. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. Okay, now we have to have called the meeting to order. Members present, we've done that. Adoption of the agenda. Does somebody want to motion to adopt the agenda?
Bob will.
Okay, is there a second?
I second it.
That was
Madam Chair,
Tom.
who? Sorry, excuse me, Madam Chair, who?
Bob.
Bob did.
Okay, and who seconded?
Tom. And roll call vote. Tom? Say aye.
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Brad?
Aye.
Bruce?
Aye.
Linda? Okay, so that was unanimous. Approval of the minutes from November 21st, 2020. What are we doing
Madam
with that?
Chair, they're not ready yet, so no
Okay,
action.
so no minutes. Public comment, we're going to hold until we get into the new business, and I'm going to allow Steve Thoreau to make a presentation.
Thank you, Linda. So my client wishes to place a small 12 by 24 pool between the two existing residences on his lot on Main Avenue. The pool itself is an in-ground pool with a 14-inch coping that runs around, and it's set back from the front property line in accordance to all zoning. It also clears the septic regulation and requirements for the installation of the pool. It has screening that's been put in place at the front of the road and at the rear of the property to limit its visibility. The pool itself is a saltwater pool. My client has hired Nantucket surveyors to do the diligence as far as its location is concerned. The current application falls outside of the Conservation Commission's jurisdiction. It is more than 100 feet from the top of the coastal bank, as noted by the letter, which I would like Ms. Chairman to read into the record from Paul Santos of Nantucket Surveyors. The building in question was Eelskin, which is on the right-hand side of the pool. Eelskin was originally in a different location that was moved to the site and allowed to be renovated. So it's not part of its original location or its original shape as well. And the access to the road, to the house is from Main Avenue. There is additional access around the back side on the abutting street that comes over, but does not really service the house there. So the main access to the house is definitely on Main Avenue, and we've planted the screening along that to mitigate its visibility. Thank you.
Okay.
Stephen?
Steve, can we incorporate that letter by reference instead of reading it?
Sure.
Through you, Madam Chair, it's on the screen right now as part of the PDF. I attached it.
I see that. It addresses a lot of things that we can't deal with, but I'll put in the minutes, if everybody's okay with that, that the letter from Paul Santos is incorporated into the record.
Yes. I'm sorry.
Okay. I think the relevant parts of this, they do know they have to go to the ZBA for a special permit. So that's where a lot of the objections and the rubber meets the road. That's not before the HDC or not jurisdiction. Special permit, we know that the erosion is not before us. The lighting isn't before us. The buffer plantings are before us. The pool discharge is not before us. So all of that will have to go to the ZBA because they're going to have to consider all of that as part of their jurisdiction and granting a special permit, which is laid out in the zoning bylaw. Okay, so pretty much the site plan. Oh, back up for a second to that one with the wall. Steve, you're not going to have a freestanding rock wall, are we? Steve, unmute.
Unmute, yeah.
We're not having a freestanding rock wall here.
You see on the plan where it says 36-inch stone wall, it's on the one side of the patio. The back side is where we've bermed up the planting along that wall to hide the pool from the other road. That's all.
All right, so the wall is actually part of the berm as screening?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
There are no other rock walls on Smith Point. That doesn't fit into the criteria.
all right, well, let's wait, hang on a second. We're gonna go through this one at a time. All right, Tom, do you want to start with your comments?
Well, I lived out there since 1986, and I was the original owner, Tom Laser, of that. And when they moved the house, where the new house is, they hopped the Eelskin Inn over to where the current location is because of the erosion. It's a very sensitive area, and Main Avenue used to come around the front, but the erosion has already washed out. That
yeah.
photo there is an older photo because you cannot drive around Main Avenue from New Jersey area. If you come down the long leg of Jersey Avenue, you cannot go around that corner. to the
Don't,
right.
hold on a second. Don't show this picture anymore. This is just an example picture.
It's also a very sensitive area growth, and that's also, it's the second or the two old, there are 50 units on Smith Point, and the two houses, Fred Rogers' house and the Eelskin Inn, are the oldest dwellings on Smith's Point. It's basically considered semi-historic.
All right, but let's stick to the pool, visibility, location, that kind of stuff.
The
There you
pool
go.
itself, as you see, the growth there is in a very sensitive area.
Okay, but we've got to stick to the pool. The visibility, all that stuff. There, just stay there.
Okay.
That's the easiest place to look, is this thing. All right, Tom, comment on that part of this.
Yes, the stone wall does not fit Smith Point. That wall should not be there, number one. And also the pool itself, all that planting does not fit the criteria of Smith Point either, because it's all dune grass and natural growth. That landscaping plan does not fit the criteria of Smith Point. It's not the adjacent neighbor. It does not fit the criteria of the immediate neighbors or those that are abutters or within 300 feet. This does not fit the concept of the neighborhood.
So basically what you're saying is what they have to do to hide the pool is out of context with the neighborhood.
Well, they should change the planting to a natural growth. Those bushes do not fit the criteria.
Okay. Okay. Anything else at the moment?
The wall doesn't fit the criteria either.
Yeah, I've got that. Not in context with the area.
And the fact, one last comment, the pool itself, there are no other pools on Smith Point. And Smith Point is a semi-historic area with all one-story cottages. There used to be all summer homes, or people from town owned a lot of them. It was all basically fishing cottages, and they're all basically one story. Of the 50 units out there, there are only about half a dozen of 1.5 story or 1 3/4 story buildings. Most are only 1 story, such as the Eelskin Inn. And this does not fit the criteria of the abutters, the ones within, say, 300 feet, or the entire area of Smith Point. This is the only pool that is being applied for, and this is, I believe this is out of character.
Okay, hold on. And by Smith's Point, you mean once we cross the bridge? Correct, Tom? Once you cross the bridge is what you're talking about.
Yes,
Okay. A lot of people don't know where Smith's Point starts and stops at the HDC.
yes, when you cross the Millie's Bridge, as soon as you cross the bridge, halfway across the bridge, Smith's Point begins there.
Okay. Most of those lots are too small for pools anyway. Okay, Brad, you want to go next?
Sure. I will agree with Tom. I don't understand why you would have a 36 high stone retaining wall, because you have to build up the soil. That lot's pretty flat, and I just don't think it's necessary and actually detracts. It draws your eye to it. As far as plantings, I don't believe we have any. That's not in our purview. It's hardscaping only. Planting is planting.
Now, vegetation is within our scope if it's being used to hide an
Right.
architectural feature. Yes, we do have
Yeah.
jurisdiction over the plantings on pools.
Well, I would agree with Tom that I would like to see a natural vegetation, and if you look at the existing photos, it's pretty much just beach grass. And I don't see how the beach grass is going to hide the pool from Main Ave.
You think that the wall is too formal?
It's not required. The lot's fairly flat. There's no topo map, but if you look at those photos there, I think it was only done for aesthetic reasons rather than for practical reasons.
Well, actually, I think, Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, you said earlier when I asked about that wall, you said that the wall was being used to retain a berm, which is where the plantings to hide the pool are going, for no other reason than to, backstop the berm. Is that correct?
It's to increase the height of the planting to hide the pool from the other road. That's all.
Okay.
Excuse me, but that road is a paper road, if I'm not mistaken.
I think he's doing it on the Main Street side.
I didn't see any. The site map doesn't show any berm on the front. It just shows the berm and the retaining wall on the back of the property. And there's a road there, which is not. It's a paper road. So you're not screening anything from the rear of the property.
Well, I believe the wall, Steve, is on the curved planting bed on the north side there, which is where Main Avenue is. Yeah, that's where the wall is. It's not on that south side where that long piece is. It's that curved wall up there by the north side of the pool, which is on the Main Street side.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, orientation was 180 degrees.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Regardless, I would still prefer not to see any berm whatsoever and just natural plantings.
Okay. And otherwise you agree with Tom?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Bob, you're next.
I agree with all that's said, and it just, for one thing, it just doesn't fit out there.
The only way to state that is it's out of context with the neighborhood.
Right, it's out of context with the neighborhood of what's on Smith's Point right now.
Okay. All right, who am I missing? Oh, Bruce can't say anything. There's a letter from Bruce Mandel as a concerned citizen. I will make mention of that because it's in the packet.
Madam
Bruce
Chair,
Mandel sent a letter in a long time ago.
Madam Chair,
He can't speak though. A long time ago as a private citizen in September. So he's recused from this discussion. Who am
Chair.
I missing otherwise? 1, 2, 3. Am I missing a fourth person here? Back to my minutes. Tom spoken, Brad spoken, Bob spoken. All right, I'll speak now. I agree with a lot of what's been said. I do agree that our jurisdiction, though, is visibility. But it's come up in the past on, it has nothing to do with us whether it's saltwater or not saltwater. Size is relatively minimal. It's a very small pool. The issue thus is visibility from traveled way, which at this point, regardless of the paper roads, is Main. And it's come up in the past that what you have to do sometimes in Madaket with other pools long ago to hide the pool turns the landscape, hardscape into something that is atypical for a neighborhood. Because there is such low growth, there's not a lot of trees, there's not a lot of privet there, there's not a lot of foo-foo out there for landscaping that's already existing, like there is as you get more into Massachusetts Avenue. What you have to do to hide it is where the problem actually occurs, because it creates an unnatural situation with the hardscaping and the planting. People berm all the time, but when berms are related to pools and they're related to plantings that are not indigenous to that particular outwash plain, which is what that is, it becomes a little bit atypical. So that's where I'm struggling with this. If the pool wasn't visible because it's just naturally not visible, or if it gets hidden without the wall, without the berm, by natural vegetation that's dense, that has to be maintained. And when Kathy goes to sign off on these things, the planting has to obscure it year round. Otherwise she can't sign off on the pool. That's what I'm struggling with.
Madam Chair?
Yeah.
I have a letter from Pat Catchpole, if you'd like me to read it into the record.
How do you spell it?
CATCHPOLE.
What's their address?
It is, she lives at 8. 8 Main Avenue.
All right, they would have standing. Okay, you want to read that?
Yes, this is to Kathy Flynn. Dear Ms. Flynn, I am writing to address the agenda application item for a pool for 9 Main Avenue, Madaket, scheduled for January 4th, 2021. My brother and I own the house directly across the street from 9 Main Avenue, where the pool is proposed to be built. My parents, who originally visited Nantucket in 1950, bought 8 Main Avenue in the early 70s and are original owners. They have Brigadoon in parentheses.
Yep.
Our families have enjoyed the quiet, peaceful solitude of Smith's Point for 5 decades. Our children adore it as much as we do, and eventually will become the owners. As we've seen the dune size and beach erode over the years, 2 homes moved right out near us after February 2016 storm, plus the more recent loss of Emery Stilthouse. We understand how incredibly fragile the area is. It is delicate and precious, a last outpost on the western tip of our favorite place in the world. The current owner of 9 Main Avenue is new to the area and can't have an understanding of the real terror that storm produces for many of us, especially those who have had to move their homes. Smith's Point is fragile, delicate, and small, and feels more or less the way it did when we were teenagers. The loss of the corner of Main Avenue to the storm is still a shock every time we see it. We know Mother Nature will always win. The concept of a pool steps from the most pristine beach and ocean is ludicrous. If you don't want the surf beach a few hundred steps away is a quiet beach, shallow, safe, and total bliss. Smith's Point is a very quiet part of the island. We all encourage lights off in the evening so we can enjoy the magical night sky. A hole in the ground with salt water directly across from our deck, a few hundred feet from the ocean and I don't even know what that word is. Oh, sorry. To me, there are noisy filters, maintenance, lights, fencing, parties. To hear the pool noise over the surf being one of the reasons we love the area so much, is insane. And how will the local deer and kids be protected from wandering in? A huge fence. It's not appropriate in any way to the area, not to mention practically abuts our very expensive septic system. While I'm writing as a direct neighbor, I feel I speak for the entire neighborhood. So many owners have been there for decades. It's your place. It's your place. It's a place you love for finding it the way you left it. It's a community with character, an incredibly special community at that. I trust you will walk the area and see how unchanged and like old Nantucket it is. It's one of the last places that feels like remember the island did in the 1960s, which is the best part of its charm. Can you imagine what Millie Jewett would think? Thank you, Pat Catchpole.
Some of us knew Millie, I can imagine. Okay, a lot of that, I think
Linda?
we agree with the sentiments. The problem is
Linda?
we've got to
Excuse me.
focus here. Yeah, Brad? Is that you, Brett?
I do have one question that's not shown in the site plan.
Okay.
Where, I don't see any designation for the pool equipment and how that would be enclosed and sound mitigation.
Okay. Steve?
Yes, the pool equipment would be located in an appropriate location that's designated by the HDC and then protected by sound insulation and planting as per their requirements.
Okay, the problem is, Steve, is that, and you've been through it before at the HDC, I've been through it a million times, is that the pool equipment location has to be shown on the site plan coming in. And that's why Brad's asking.
Well, that's my error. I apologize for that. And we will find a suitable location if this goes any further.
Okay. Sound screening not shown.
If they show the equipment location, can you bounce it back so we can see that? It's a question by Tom.
I don't think they will send it back to us for that location because the HDC is pretty strict about where it's going. We just
Alright.
have to put in our recommendation that it is not shown and needs to be put in an appropriate location before it's
Okay.
approved, Does that work for you guys?
If you, in a hidden, yeah, if it's in a good location.
If they approve it. Hidden sound. Okay, I'll put that in the recommendations. Okay, I believe the Herbies want to speak. Is that correct?
Yes,
Yes.
Havery's.
Havery's.
I will get this eventually.
Okay.
Okay.
And what are your first names? I know it's Bonnie, and what's your name?
Bonnie and Bob.
Another Bob.
Yes. Yeah, and we are at 6 Main Avenue, where we have been for, I think, 48 years.
Okay,
Now, I want to comment on the plantings. Over the last 4 years, 2 of our neighbors have hired landscapers to come in and put in plantings. And I know one of them spent tens of thousands of dollars to do this. All of the tall plantings have died because of the exposure to the ocean. So it's fine to say we're going to put in these plantings and they're going to hide the pool. They're not going to live. You got to get real about this. Now, it's true that there are some hedges on the point that have grown up and survived. They are on Rhode Island Avenue and Massachusetts Avenue.
yeah,
It's a totally different situation there for 2 reasons. One is the distance from the ocean. They don't get the salt spray that we receive out here. I mean, we're within 100 yards of the Atlantic Ocean. And the second thing is that they're protected by some pine trees that have grown up over the years and by houses that protect those shrubs from the exposure to the sea. So those hedges have grown up. Nothing like that has been able to survive in our immediate neighborhood around here.
Madam Chair, can I respond to that for clarification purposes through staff? So, sir, just as a point of information, when there's an approval that relies on screening, the condition of the approval is to be there at time of inspection and in perpetuity. So if in fact this or others have lost their screening, staff would need to know to send out an enforcement letter and to bring that homeowner into compliance. So those are important issues that staff needs to know about, just so you know. So if for some reason there's another pool or whatnot, I just need to be notified. I go out, I take a picture, then I send an enforcement letter, and then they have to come into compliance. So.
okay, keep going.
Are we allowed to read our letter to you?
Sure.
or- Okay.
And just make sure that Kathy, do you have a copy of their letter?
I don't, did you send it to me?
Yes, we did, but we had 2 different addresses for you. Is
Why
it-
don't you send it to me again? Because I could have been lost in my emails. I apologize, I don't have it handy.
Are you C. Flynn or Kathy Flynn? And you're
I'm
at-
C. Flynn.
That's where we sent it.
Okay, well, I apologize, but
Do it again.
yeah, please do.
Okay.
All right. Well, some of this may repeat what I've just said, but we have been seasonal residents of Smith Point for close to 50 years and recognize that it is one of the few neighborhoods of Nantucket that have maintained the character of old Nantucket, simple and in keeping with nature. We know that there are many islanders who share this belief and understand its importance for the island. Preserving that character has occasionally required watchfulness and action, and we believe that this is one of those times. An in-ground pool is completely out of character with our neighborhood. It would introduce a foreign element that could easily be used as a precedent for other in-ground pools, with all the noise generally connected with them and the potential danger of an unfenced pool changing the unpretentious nature of the point. The point has one of the most beautiful ocean beaches in America right at its doorstep, and an ideal family beach within generally calm waters in Madaket Harbor. We are puzzled by any feeling that there is a need for, on our point, for an additional place to swim.
Is that it?
Yes.
Okay.
Madam Chair, there's also somebody who joined the meeting, Mr. Murphy. I don't know his
Yes.
first name.
Steve Murphy.
Okay.
Good morning. My name is Stephen Murphy. I've been a 40-year summer resident of Smith Point.
What's your address? Before we go any further, what's your address?
5 Rhode Island.
5 Rhode Island. Okay. All right, go for it.
I think that I've looked at the materials that have been submitted, and some of the maps are distinctly out of date. They show a distance to the ocean, as Mr. Havery just mentioned, which is not consistent with the current distance. Yes, keep
Kathy, don't
scrolling.
bother, because these are older GIS maps. So this isn't even the right map. That has nothing to do with it.
Okay.
Well, if you scroll down, oh, okay, not the Madaket Road one. You have to just keep scrolling down.
Well, don't worry about the GIS maps. They are old.
Well, then why were they used in the application if
Because
they're
that
old?
is what is available legally on the town GIS website. That's why. Everybody
Oh.
uses them. And we all know that things have changed.
Well, frankly, the map that should be used, or the photos that should be used, are the overhead photos, which show that the ocean came right up onto that the piece of property that's now in contention 2 winters ago, and actually 3 winters ago, where it eliminated. Yes, scroll back to that photo, that overhead photo.
Here. Okay.
Again, this is from the town's website.
Okay, well, this photo actually shows where, yes, right there, the blue. That's where the water came right up into the homeowner's property and eliminated the end of Main Avenue as a circulating road. The danger of erosion here is very significant. I mean, if you go down, if you had a photo of the end of Massachusetts Avenue, you would see that there's now an 8-foot drop off at the end of the Massachusetts Avenue as a result of ocean erosion so far this winter. It is very typical of islands, and our erosion level in Nantucket, and particularly in Smith Point, is something that I don't think has been adequately taken into consideration. This is a saltwater pool, and there's going to be a significant amount of ocean flow back and forth here, and I don't think it's being taken into consideration. Yeah, my other concern is that the one that Bob just mentioned, Bob Havery, there's no security fence here. This is an area where there's a great deal of children. Children come right down Main Avenue. They walk there regularly. The house, the old Eelskin house, has been rented by a family with multiple children for the last 5-6 years. and it would be within 10 feet of this pool where there's no security fence.
All
Madam,
right, let me, before you go, Kathy, let me be clear about this. The erosion is not before this board at all. And because the pool is technically outside of the 100-foot from the top of the bank, it's outside the Concom jurisdiction. They will have to go to the zoning board, and I believe you're close enough to be notified, and certainly the Haverays are close enough to be notified, as well as the person next door. Everybody within 300 feet gets noticed by the zoning board when it goes to the zoning board. Those are items that will come up at the zoning board, not before the HDC. We all aware of the erosion, but it has nothing to do with our jurisdiction. As far as the security fence, unfortunately, the bylaw changed at the state level, where if you have an automatic pool cover, you no longer required to have a fence. And we cannot force them to have a fence. So there are some things that, though we would like them and they are attractive nuisances, we can't force them into a fence. The HDC may be able to do that if they want screening, but again, that becomes an alien to the neighborhood to have a fence. So there's a lot of things at play here in a very, very specific location. I just wanted to make sure you understood that.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, if I may, through you.
Yep.
So, Mr. Murphy, I just wanted to explain that before this goes to the HDC, which it probably won't be reviewed for another week or so, I will have them go view the property. That is always something that we do for pools and for solar and unusual properties. They go out and they take a view. So if that kind of helps you have them look at it in a different light, they'll see it in its entirety as of present day. So
Thank you.
you're welcome.
And that will probably, with the board's acquiescence, with the committee's acquiescence, will suggest that the board take a viewing.
Yeah.
We normally don't do that one way or the other, but I think in this case, we'll probably suggest strongly that the HDC members take a viewing before they vote.
Thank you very much.
A lot of them have never been out to this end, and this down Maine in particular. They've been out to Eel Point, but not and down Smith's Point, but not out to Maine. You have to want to go there. Okay. Is there anybody else online, Kath?
I don't see anybody.
Madam Chair, this is Tom. May I ask Kathy a question?
Yep.
Kathy, over the weekend, just because, I was originally from Smith's Point, a number of people contacted me with your address, and they said they were going to send a letter in before this meeting. And one of them was a Biondi, one was a Messenger, two were Papa George's, and I was wondering if they did email you, because I didn't comment to them. I just gave them your address.
Well, I came into work at 9:15 and came over here and started the computer and didn't really check my email. If they emailed me yesterday, the only one I got was Pat Catchpole's. So I will look again, and I'll make sure that the commissioners received the letter and that it's available on the website too with the application, and make sure that Steve from Nantucket Architectural Group gets it as well. But I don't see anything right now.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, do any board committee members have any more questions or comments?
Just the fact, this is Tom, that the pool being right next to the Eelskin Inn, which is the most historic part of Smith Point, is totally out of character, which I mentioned before. It's a primary concern.
Okay, again, we've got to take it back to what's visible. Okay. Well, we have to come up with a recommendation. So far, I've got take a viewing. I have one more question, Steve. because it's not listed. And a lot of times when I look at pools, or I've got clients going in there with pools, I'm very specific about the type of screening, actual plants, because it has to be year-round vegetation. And I don't know what you have for vegetation on the plan, because it doesn't specify what that stuff is. Have you thought about what it is?
A vegetative plan will be designed for the approval for the HDC.
Yeah, but we have to make a recommendation on what the plantings are. Normally for
I would-
pools, I get that.
And I understand the need for local species and beach grasses to do the screening and the job that works out there, maybe some bayberry, but I would like to work with a landscape architect to design the screening that is appropriate. That's all.
Okay, because otherwise it's going to force us into making a recommendation on the type of screening if we don't have any guidance from you guys. And
That's
normally I
fine.
put it on there.
We're welcome to recommendations, no problem.
Okay.
Madam Chair,
Is that Brad?
I would like to make a motion that the applicant withdraw this application at this time. I believe that we should have a landscape plan as far as delineating what the shrubs, bushes, grasses are, and also to denote whether or not there's going to be a pool cover, and if not, what sort of fencing is going to be used. And also to show where the pool equipment is. It should be up to the architect to show the HDC where it's going to be, rather than getting guidance from the HDC as to where it should be. The HDC should not be doing architect's work.
Madam Chairman,
Yes, Steve?
our office has always worked very well with the HDC and accepted their recommendations for items and things. This is a two-way relationship here and a working concept. We're always amenable to type of screening that the HDC will allow us to have, as well as various locations in working with the HDC over the last 30 years to resolve areas where, it is particularly sensitive. Thank you.
All right, just to put on my other hat for a second. I work with another pool guy all the time, helping him fix his plans, shall we say. And I always put in the type of plantings when I'm in a sensitive area, and I always put in the location of the pool equipment before I even submit, rather than getting put back on our haunches on a defensive position because those items are not on the plan. So what I'm hearing from the group is that they want to know what that stuff is now before it goes for a hearing. So it's something that they can actually comment on. But I think one of the recommendations they're making is that it's indigenous screening. There's no berm, no wall. It looks, Steve, like you have an automatic pool cover.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
We would be more than happy, Madam Chairperson, to do all those things and resubmit. That's not a problem.
Brad, I'm going to hold your motion because we can't make that kind of motion if they withdraw. We can make a motion that it's being held for
That's
that
fine.
information.
Whatever motion works for you guys. Thank you.
Madam Chairwoman, one point
Identify
of,
yourself for the tape, please.
one point of clarification on the.
Yeah, hold on a second, Mr. Murphy. You have to identify yourself for the tape.
Excuse me, Stephen Murphy,
Okay.
40 years, summer resident of Smith Point. In terms of the screening, the observation made by Mr. Havery as to how long screening will live out at this area, with this proximity to the ocean, I would recommend that the HTC, when they make the visit, particularly pay attention to the very, very limited amount of growth above 2 or 3 feet. And that if that's the kind of screening that is contemplated, that would be inadequate to cover the pool. Because the road, Main Avenue, is very close to this pool, you're going to need screening which is substantially higher than my height, which is 6 foot. So just making that observation, Madam
Yep.
Chairman.
I think that's what we're all concerned about here. Okay,
If I could just add to that, this is Bob Havery again, 6 Main
Yep.
Avenue. I'd just like to suggest when you come out to visit the site, take a look at not only what survived, but I think you can see the remnants of plantings that have died off. Also, bear in mind that these plantings were done by licensed landscapers who are judging their decisions on what survives in more protected area. And also that the area that these plantings will go by the pool, just take a look at how exposed it is to the ocean. Okay, that's all.
Madam Chair, through you.
Yep.
Just so you all know, we do have, one of the commissioners is a landscape architect on the board. So he's very helpful to the board in deciding or just suggesting what type of screening goes in what part of the area of the island, just to let you all know that there is somebody there that knows a little bit more.
unfortunately, he hasn't been at meetings very much at all for months. So it's not very helpful when he doesn't show up. Just an editorial comment. Okay, so what I've got right now is that the board is not in favor, because I have to put this on a sheet, not in favor of a pool at this location for all the reasons that were stated up front. Is that pretty much it? We can always, I can farm this recommendation out to everybody before it goes in. It's not coming up tonight, is it, Kath?
No,
Okay,
not for a couple weeks.
okay, because we're
This is
short
so-
on meetings in January, February, March, because we're in conflict with other boards that are meeting at the moment. So we're gonna be
Yeah.
missing meetings all over the place.
I would think probably towards the week of the 19th, it will be hard.
Okay, is that, do you want me to craft something, guys, and then have us have another short meeting to go over it?
That's fine.
Fine with me.
Okay,
It's fine with me also, Tom.
and just for the members of the public's edification, this is available to the public once we vote on it. And Kathy can always send it to you. Any of the rest of them that have sent in letters or emails are coming. Okay, any other comments on this? Closing comment, Steve, anybody?
No.
No, thank you for your time, everybody. Have a good day.
Thank you,
Okay, you
Stephen.
too. All right, so we're going to close the meeting and we'll have another meeting here in the next week or so as soon as I draft this up. Does that work for everybody?
Yes.
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 Madam Chair, I can make it for next Monday, same time.
That's not a holiday, right? No, that's 2 weeks from now.
No, I can make it the meeting for next Monday.
Yeah, I just want to make sure it's not President's Day or whatever it is.
No,
Okay.
the 11th is not.
Okay, so that'll be Monday,
That-
the 11th. Okay,
If
does
that works for the rest of the board.
that work for everybody? Monday, the 11th at 10?
Yeah,
Yes.
works for me.
Yes. That should work.
All righty. So I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Bob will move it.
Okay, is
Tom
there a
will-
second? Who seconded?
Tom?
Okay. All right, all in favor, Tom,
Aye.
Brad,
Aye.
Bob,
Aye.
Bruce,
Aye.
and myself. And it is, I have no idea what time it is.
It's 10:50.
10:50. All right, thank you, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Thank you to our guests
And
Thank
thank
you.
you to
Thank
the
you
members of the
very
public. And
much.
Thank
and
you.
you're welcome to come back again next Monday, same format, if anybody else wants to have a comment, but I'm going to write this up between now and then.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye now.
Happy New Year again.
Happy New Year, everyone.